What if the best spaghetti westerns aren't the ones people always talk about? Yeah, you heard me. Forget The Searchers. Forget Unforgiven. They're solid, sure, but they play it safe. Spaghetti westerns, on the other hand, didn't. They lit a match, set fire to the rules, poured a drink, and pulled the trigger. And while Hollywood polished its boots, Italy and Spain got busy. Their westerns radiated attitude, meaner, weirder, cooler, cynical to the bone, stylish as hell. And the real treasures? They're the sleepers, not the famous ones. That's why today, we're digging up 7 of the most underrated spaghetti westerns ever made. The deep cuts, the lost gems, the ones that came out swinging but got left behind. My name is Sam, and this is Western Files. Let's start with a ghost town, a scam, and a whole lot of mud. Number 7. The Dirty Outlaws, 1967. Also known as El Desperado. This one got left in the dust. Louder, flashier movies rode past, and this one barely made a sound. But it should have, because The Dirty Outlaws has it all. A smooth-talking bastard of a lead, a mud-soaked ghost town, and enough greed and backstabbing to make your skin crawl. Andrea Jordana plays Steve. He's a con man with no soul to lose. He finds a dying Confederate soldier, steals his identity, and heads to town to trick the man's blind father. Why? Gold. What else? And just when Steve thinks he's got it made, a gang led by a guy named Asher rolls in to hijack a Confederate gold shipment. And then it all goes sideways. Double crosses, fistfights, shootouts. Nobody tells the truth, and nobody walks out clean. So why haven't you seen it? Well, because Franco Rossetti, the guy who directed it, was a writer first. He helped shape the genre. Django, Texas, Adios, Johnny Oro, yeah, that was him. But when he finally got behind the camera, this one got buried. Bad timing, wrong spotlight. Still, it didn't disappear completely. Tarantino, yeah, that Tarantino, put it in his top 20 spaghetti westerns. Not bad for a debut. And Rossetti doesn't exactly clean up the West like you'd expect. No, he drags it face first through the dirt. The town feels dead. The people? Worse. It's like God left. Then someone dumped all their regrets in the street and called it a day. And the camera stays rolling on every nasty frame. No heroes, no hope, just broken folks waiting for a lucky break that's never coming. Yeah, there's gold. There's guns. There's a blind man getting conned. But under all that, The Dirty Outlaws is about what happens when war ends and the scavengers show up. So what happens is, Steve starts out feeding off the wreckage, pretending to be someone else, taking what's not his. But somewhere in the mud, something changes. It's not a full redemption arc. This ain't that kind of story. But just enough to make you wonder if he's still got a tiny bit of conscience buried under the grime. And in this film, the scene that sticks the most is the Ghost Town Saloon. Steve, Asher's gang. The masks drop, tension snaps tight, and when the fight breaks out, it's ugly. Close, rough, messy. No slow-motion hero shots, just pure survival. That's what this film nails. Violence without glory, choices without clean lines. However, it flopped. Critics didn't care, audiences barely noticed, but it didn't vanish. It made its way into retrospectives. Even made it into the Venice Film Festival's 2007 Spaghetti Western lineup. And little by little, folks started paying attention. And as of April 2025, it's streaming on Tubi, free, with ads. And yeah, it's worth your time, but forget the gold for now. Next up's all sweat, silence, and side eyes. Number 6, Shoot the Living and Pray for the Dead, 1971. Now, with this film, don't come in expecting big shootouts or sweeping desert shots. This one will give you the creeps. There are no high noon duels, no crowd-pleasing gunplay, just tension, dust, and Klaus Kinski staring at people like he wants to peel their skin off. Long story short, the film's about a bank job that goes bad. Dan Hogan and his crew need to slip across the border. So they hire a quiet guy named John Webb to guide them through. The deal is, Webb gets half the loot, clean, straightforward. But nobody trusts anybody. Everyone's hiding something. And as they move through the desert, things start to decompose. Yeah, it's not loud, nor is it flashy. What it is, however, it's slow and tight. Every minute slithers forward slowly with suspicion. And while other westerns were stacking bodies, this one just lets the air get heavier and heavier until it snaps. Director Giuseppe Vari shot this the same year as The Last Trader. You can feel the rush. Feels raw, claustrophobic. Every scene stripped to the bone. No fat, just sweat and side eyes. Small spaces, tighter shots. You're stuck in rooms with people you would not want to be stuck with. And the score? Mario Migliardi ties it with this hazy, psychedelic hum, like the soundtrack to a heat stroke. It scratches your brains out bit by bit. The whole thing rides on one question. What happens when a bunch of desperate men, all carrying secrets, are forced to sit in a room with stolen money between them? Answer: bad things. Now there's a moment at a nowhere stagecoach stop where nobody moves, nobody speaks. You can feel the whole thing about to blow, but it just holds. It's the Hateful Eight before the Hateful Eight ever came into existence. Cramped, paranoid. And yeah, Tarantino definitely took notes, but in '71, it barely made a sound. Too quiet, too strange. Didn't fit the loud, blood-soaked mold. But now, people are catching on. It's out there, floating online. Full versions on YouTube. So, if you want a Western that burns slow and gets under your skin instead of splattering it on a wall, this one's definitely for you. All right, next up, less bullets, more guilt. Let's see what happens when a school teacher picks up a gun. Number 5, Face to Face, 1967. Now imagine your ethics professor becoming Jesse James. Most Westerns ask, who's faster? This one asks, who are you? And what would it take to turn you into something you swore you'd never be? Directed by Sergio Solima, the same guy who was one of the more serious minds behind the spaghetti wave. Face to Face doesn't really chase body counts or bounty posters. It chases power. The kind of power that changes you. We start with Brad Fletcher, a sickly history teacher from Boston. He heads west to recover his health, but instead he gets kidnapped by an outlaw named Solomon Beauregard Bennett. And then things get weird, because Fletcher sort of adapts. He sheds the tweed, grabs a gun, and before long, he's running with outlaws. So he starts off shy, but then he ends up terrifying. And Bennett, the original outlaw, starts looking more like the voice of reason. So yeah, this film flips everything. It's not man redeems himself, it's man lets the devil in and calls it growth. And by the end, Fletcher's leading a gang like he's hosting a violent TED Talk. It's smart, almost too smart. So, while Leone was out changing cinema, Solima was doing philosophy with bullets, blending Nietzsche, existentialism, and the rise of fascism in one of the smartest spaghetti westerns in history. And Volante and Millian crush it on screen, though they apparently came to actual blows off screen over politics. Yeah, real punches. Still, this one didn't make much noise. No flash, no big push. Even with Ennio Morricone doing the score, it sort of slipped into the background. But the core? It's about power, identity, corruption. Face to Face pushed the genre. It proved Westerns didn't have to be about tough guys and dusty towns. They could ask hard questions. They could mess with your head. And as of now, Kino Lorber's got a Blu-ray version of this film. English dub in HD, Italian in SD. Might take some digging depending on where you live, but it's well worth it. Especially if you want a Western with bite and a brain. And now, next up, revolution, mercenaries, and a ton of violence. Number 4. The Mercenary, 1968. Have you ever seen a movie that should be a classic, but somehow just isn't? Well, that's The Mercenary for you. You've got Corbucci behind the camera, Franco Nero in a white suit, and Jack Palance with a gun and a grudge. What could go wrong? It's loud, it's weird, and it bleeds style. But somehow it's still living in the shadow of Django and The Great Silence, and that's a crime. Nonetheless, here's the setup. Franco Nero plays Sergei Kowalski, aka the Polak, a smooth-talking, ice-eyed mercenary who rolls into Mexico looking to make a buck. He doesn't care about the cause, he just wants a payday. But he gets pulled into a revolution, siding with Paco Roman, a fired-up peasant turned rebel leader. Then the two form a shaky team, part bromance, part business deal. And then comes Jack Palance, bleach blonde, grinning like he just bit into something sour. He plays Curly, a psycho with a personal score to settle. And every time he shows up, the movie gets weirder and better. Corbucci dropped this in the middle of his hot streak. But even with all that firepower, it got buried. Why? Well, the script was a mess early on. It was meant for Pontecorvo, with O'Toole and Lancaster in the lead. Yeah, imagine that. But when it finally hit the screen, Corbucci gave it teeth. And it was shot mostly in Spain, but set in a Mexico setting on the edge of disorder and turmoil. And it damn right feels dangerous. This is pure Zapata Western. Big themes, big action, bigger questions. It's got politics, sure, but it's not preaching. It's laughing through the smoke. Corbucci throws shade at everyone, especially outsiders who think they can play hero in someone else's war. And the tone? Total whiplash. One scene's a bloody ambush, the next, a slapstick brawl. Yet, somehow, it holds together. And the bullring finale? No words. 3 men, one last stare down. Then, boom. This one definitely stuck around. Fans didn't forget. So, if you like A Bullet for the General, Tepepa, or Compañeros, you definitely need to watch this. It's sharper than people give it credit for, rougher too, and yeah, Tarantino noticed. You can stream it on Prime and Tubi right now. And now, let's switch gears. Less revolution, more revenge. Here's what happens when it really gets personal. Number 3. Death Rides a Horse, 1967. Revenge? Yeah, it's on the menu, served cold, with Lee Van Cleef's mustache leading the charge. But here's the thing, if this film had dropped a few years earlier, or if Leone had stamped his name on it, we'd be talking about it in the same breath as The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Instead, it got lost in the shuffle. Wrong timing, wrong credit. Big miss. You see, it opens with a nightmare. Bill Macheta watches his whole family get wiped out as a kid. 15 years later, he's grown, locked in, and hunting the men who did it. Then enter Ryan, Lee Van Cleef, just out of prison, still sharp, still dangerous. He's gunning for the same crew, but for his own reasons. And now you've got a revenge duo with zero trust and zero patience. They don't like each other, but they need each other. And that tension, that constant push and pull, that's the movie's heartbeat. The backstory's spicy too. Luciano Vincenzoni, who co-wrote For a Few Dollars More, wrote this after falling out with Sergio Leone. So yeah, the vibes feel familiar. Long silences, sharp stares, and violence that simmers before it strikes. But you know, originally it was titled Duel in the Wind. Van Cleef apparently pushed for Death Rides a Horse, and yeah, good call, because that title lands. Also, Petroni's direction is clean, controlled. He holds the camera, lets the quiet build. Now the shootouts aren't flashy, but they're damn well precise. And when the violence hits, it stops. And then there's Morricone. The score's creepy, off balance, whispers and echoes. It crawls into your head and stays there. Tarantino pulled pieces of it for Kill Bill, and it fits. Same pulse, same grit. But this mostly about what revenge does to you while you chase it. And that sandstorm scene, you can't see a damn thing. But the tension, you can surely feel it. Everything's murky, unstable, on edge. Petroni owns that moment. Critics brushed it off at first, just another dusty revenge flick. But over time, people started catching on. And not only did it inspire other westerns, but it also crossed borders, like in Bollywood, for instance. Zanjeer, Yadin Ki Bharat, they took notes. But yeah, this one definitely had legs. Just took a while for folks to notice. And today, you can stream Death Rides a Horse on Prime Video and Tubi. Go watch it. Now, next up, The Devil's in Town. He brought a shotgun and a tornado. Number 2, And God Said to Cain, 1970. Now this one's no ordinary spaghetti western. It's a ghost story with a 6-shooter. Yeah, Kinski's back, but this time he's creepy and he's biblical. There's thunder, there's lightning, and there's an actual tornado tearing through town while he serves divine revenge. And if the Dirty Outlaws was filthy, then oh boy, you can bet this one's straight up cursed. This film was directed by Antonio Margheriti. Yeah, the guy who made Gothic horror his playground. Think of this as High Plains Drifter, cranked to 11. Gloom, doom, and one man crawling out of the dirt with a score to settle. Here, Kinski plays Gary Hamilton, ex-Union officer, wrongfully locked up for 10 years. But who sold him out? A comber, his old pal, turned snake. Now, Hamilton's back. Not to duel, not to talk, just to end it. But don't expect the usual Western beats. Here, there are no towns with sunlit streets and open plains. No, you'll find shadows, catacombs, church bells ringing like a warning. And Hamilton doesn't walk in guns blazing. He stalks, he haunts. He hunts a comber's men like he's death itself. It's part Western, part slasher. And that tornado? It's supposed to symbolize Hamilton tearing through everything in his path. Over the top? Yeah, but it leans in hard. I'm glad to hear it works. The prompt is designed to convert kanji to romaji while keeping hiragana and katakana unchanged and converting numbers to hiragana. This kind of specialized text conversion can be useful for Japanese language learners or for specific text processing needs. Is there anything specific about the conversion process you'd like me to explain, or any adjustments you'd like to make to how it handles the text? However, it didn't hit US or UK theaters. Too weird. Too early. Western fans back then didn't know what to make of bell towers and tunnel deaths. Also, it's technically a remake of A Stranger in Paso Bravo. But remake is a stretch. It had the same bones, but a whole new monster. In Italy, though, box office smash. Top 10 in 1970. And right now, as of April 2025, you can stream it. Amazon Prime, ARROW, Midnight Pulp, depending on where you are. And with that said, let's put aside the ghosts and Gunsmoke, because this last one crawls out of the dark, grinning, and somehow still leaves a permanent mark. Number 1, They Call Me Trinity, 1970. Now this here is a spaghetti western that doesn't take itself seriously, and that's exactly why it works. Directed by Enzo Barboni, They Call Me Trinity flips the genre on its head. It's got all the guns and showdowns you expect, but mixed with slapstick brawls, smart-ass banter, and a kind of lazy charm you didn't know westerns could pull off. Trinity, played by Terrence Hill, is a laid-back sharpshooter who looks like he just rolled out of a hammock. His brother, Bambino, played by Bud Spencer, is a grumpy brute pretending to be a sheriff. The two team up to help a group of peace-loving Mormons stand their ground against a land-grabbing thug and a bunch of outlaws. Classic setup. Totally different vibe. This story rewired the genre in unimaginable ways. You see, before Trinity, westerns were gritty and grim. After Trinity, however, comedy westerns became a thing. Now, some folks didn't get it at first. Ebert called it a parody, but the fans got it, and they still do. Rotten Tomatoes shows an 83% approval, and most folks watching today say the same thing. It's dumb, it's fun, and it hits just right. The movie crushed at the box office, especially in Europe, and as of 2004, it was still one of the top-grossing Italian films, sitting just under The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Now that kind of staying power isn't a fluke. It even sparked its own sequel, Trinity Is Still My Name, and kicked off a wave of knockoffs, earning the nickname Fagioli Westerns, which translates to bean westerns. So no, it's not the grittiest or the most poetic western out there, but it changed the rules, and it happily did so with a wide smirk. And that's basically the list. 7 savage gems the crowd ignored. No trophies, no buzz, just blood and craft. Pick one. Watch it, or don't. Just don't pretend Leone told the whole story.